you have your system, right? Or you can say your algo system, that now you're trying to connect it to the exchange. Now exchange connects it one, you send this as broadcast. Will we send or will we receive?
Receive.
Right. So we will only receive the broadcast from the exchange, and then we have two-way connection to your OMS, where you're sending the order and you're receiving the confirmation. Along with OMS, before you send over here, it has to also pass through RMS. So OMS RMS works in tandem together, and then only you can send it to the exchange gateway. Now we are assuming that we are ourselves broker. If we were not a broker, then there would have been a mediator in between called as broker. And broker would have given you the access to his RESTful API, where you would have connected your broadcast and interactive channel. Right? So the same way, this is broadcast and interactive channel, which is to and fro. So the point here is the algo system which you are making again has the same peripherals. There is broadcast and there is interactive connection. There is OMS, there is RMS. The point where you need to understand the most important part of this is strategy engine, right? Where your logic will reside and where you will run backtesting. Then you will do, after backtesting, optimization, and then you go for simulation. And the last would be to go live. Now, in order to make the logic, what we do over here, one, we can either take input as the data, as the live market data, or you can also now connect this to the database to get historical data. Now the point here is, whenever we write a strategy, the first agenda is to perform it on historical data, right? Once the strategy is working fine, then you merge it with the live data and send out the orders in the live environment. So the agenda here is, now when we are now making an algo system, let's say we are now using Python, our agenda is to connect to the database. Okay, and if you are using Python as a language or PyCharm as an IDE, where you're trying to connect to the database, external source of database where it has historical data. Now there are different formats which you can connect. One, you can get the data in terms of file. So file input output operations can be performed in Python. Now file can be a CSV or .txt or normal text file where you are importing the data and you are exporting the data. The second format of this can be in database. Okay, SQL or any kind of database which you are trying to link it and you can get access to the data. The third format of data which we saw was using the Condal API. Now we basically went out for the third option because the Condal API updates himself, right, with the data at the end of the day. So I don't have to go and personally check whether the data is been available or not. For example, if there is information in the file, every day I need to download the information, append it in the file and then use it. So here the problem is you need to do data management as well, correct? You need to do data management as well. So this is a guy who API who does it for us and it's free, right? So it's an open source Condal API which we saw yesterday. And this is Open API. The agenda here is you can connect through Python to this API and get the data. Now the point was, when you're getting the data, as we saw yesterday, it basically gives us intraday data or EOD data. EOD gives us EOD data. That means only at the end of the day, not within the day. So that is again very important information, that this guy does not give us inside the day information, but it only gives us daily basis end of the day information. Now the good part was the daily data which is available, you can now convert this also to weekly, monthly, or even yearly. Right? So that was the Condal API where we connected it and we tried to get the data. Now we were trying to first get the data on the daily format or EOD basis. The data format that you get from this Condal is nothing but the date. You get the symbol. Sorry, for the symbol, you will get the date, and you will get open, high, low, close, which is OHLC. You are also getting volume and turnover. So the agenda here is the data which is stored in the Condal API is basically of the format date, open, high, low, close, and volume with turnover as the output. So every symbol that you will send. So if you do not send any symbol, by default it takes Nifty 50, right? So Nifty 50 data will be given out like this, and in this format when you see, and if you change the symbol, so today we'll try to change the symbol, let's say HDFC Bank, what will happen over here, by changing this, you can again get the information for that particular symbol, right? So the Condal API basically helps us to connect to the database and get the information in the form of OHLC, volume and turnover. Now the same daily information can be changed or we can get it for weekly, monthly and yearly, or other way around. You can also convert the daily data to weekly, or daily data to monthly, or daily data to yearly. It's fairly simple. The point is, if you have daily data of 5 days, you can combine that and it becomes 1 week. When you have 4 week data, you can combine that and it becomes a month, right? So as I showed you yesterday, you can also convert from this daily to the other frameworks. So time framework is what we are trying to see, and the good part, as we said, for Condal, every day the data gets updated. So we don't have to manage the data. All we need to do is extract the data from that API, get the data at your environment, plot it out, and you can now run your logic on that data. Data type that we saw yesterday, okay, was in this format. Apart from that, there were charts that you can plot, right? So we used this data, and for data visualization, we used chart app where we were trying to plot the chart as an output. So this we use something called as Flask, which basically makes use of the IP and the port, and it gives you the local host environment where you're trying to see the chart as an output. Now chart are also available of two types. One was line chart and the other one was candle chart. Right? So for line chart, nothing but just take the close price and keep plotting the line chart, which is same as the Excel chart. So nothing that different over here. In candle chart was something very unique and different, because the chart basically had red candle and green candle, and that candle is basically being made using OHLC, right? So open, high, low, close is being used in order to make that candle. So today we'll understand how this red candle and green candle works, what does it signify, and when you're plotting it on the chart, what can you infer from that information. So the point here was first to get the data, right? That was our step one of yesterday. So using the data, as I said, through file information or file input output operation, through connecting it to external database or through Condal. Now we tried to go for Condal because financial data is being stored in OHLC format, and financial information of OHLC is used predominantly in the industry. So you try to get the data through the external API, which is free and open source. Through Python, you get to access this API and you get the data. Now once you have the data over here, you can basically extract the open, high, low and close, which we did writing our own function. So the agenda was step one, to get the data. The agenda was, the second part was to plot the charts. Now you can basically, whatever data is there with you, you are basically trying to plot it in terms of line chart or candle chart. So what's happening over here? You're just trying to visualize the data in form of charts. Okay. Now going to the step 3. So once I have the data, now I can plot the chart, which can be in line chart or candle chart. So this is where we ended yesterday. After that, the step 3 involves to make use of indicators and candle patterns. Okay, so these two are basically part of technical section, technical charts. So first we need to now understand indicators, what are indicators and what are candle patterns. So for that we'll understand what is candle chart and we can then understand candle pattern. So agenda here is now today's lecture to focus on indicator and candle pattern. If you use indicator and candle pattern, okay, you can now make your strategy.